But yeah, shame. I could have owned a Focus RS, but hey, that's how life pans out. So many icons, legends, motoring greats. You can almost smell the heritage. You can always taste it. No, that's too much, Aaron, too much. Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to another episode of Pit Stop Sunday. Once again, I do apologise that the upload schedule for this series has been a little bit sporadic. I think moving forward it would be better to have this series as either a bi-weekly event or perhaps once a month. I think doing this kind of video every week is just not really viable because of time constraints, and to be honest there are some weeks where I can't think of a topic, but you'll be pleased to know I have thought of a topic for this week. Now, this is something I actually spoke about in great length when I filmed my video explaining why I bought the Land Cupra, but because I went on for quite some time and it wasn't really relevant to the video as such, I decided to cut it out and it didn't make the final edit. But it's a discussion, a topic that I wanted to revive for Pit Stop Sunday because I think it's quite an interesting one. I think it gives you a little bit of context as to why I've never owned a fast Ford. Now, those that know me, regular viewers will know that I'm a big fan of fast Fords. Just look at the items behind me. I've got a big Ford RS canvas, I've got two Ford rally car models, and I've got a little Mark III Focus RS there. Is that Hot Wheels? It is Hot Wheels. I've also got a Ford Escort Hot Wheels as well. Oh, my chair got a bit stuck then. So it's clear to see I'm a fan of said car genre, the fast Fords, but I've never owned one. Now, of course, I had the Puma-powered Fiesta track car a few months ago, but I don't really think that counts as a fast Ford because it wasn't originally a fast Ford. It was modified to be fast. Well, I wouldn't say fast, I'd say nippy. And of course, I owned that car for only about 1 or 2 months, a very short-term ownership. Now, throughout my driving career, if that's what you want to call it, I've had 3 chances to buy a fast Ford, but on each opportunity I've passed it up. And that may sound crazy if I'm such a big fan of that genre. But I thought, let me give you a bit of context, let me explain why I've never owned a fast Ford. And I still can't believe that I haven't, but hopefully one day I will, but you never know what's around the corner. So the first chance I had to buy a fast Ford was when I was replacing my 2012 Renault Clio. I was looking at a Mark VI Fiesta ST, so the 2-litre naturally aspirated one, which had 150 horsepower. I test drove one actually, I can't remember where, I think it was somewhere near, I can't remember, it's not relevant. And although I liked it, I didn't buy it, and the reason for that was because A, it was a 3-door, and at the time I wanted a 5-door, which in hindsight was pointless because I didn't need a 5-door, as I very rarely had people in the back of the car. What were the other reasons? It wasn't turbocharged, and ideally I wanted something with a turbo. Not necessarily for remapping or modification purposes, I just wanted something turbocharged in all honesty. And the other reason was because it was a 2-litre. Now at the time, I would have been about, how old would I have been? I would have been about 23, 24, and I hadn't been driving that long. So from my point of view, it was a case of, well, I didn't really want to have a 2-litre because it would have cost me more on insurance. That's why I ended up buying the Seat Ibiza FR, because it was a 1.8, so a bit cheaper to insure. It was a 5-door, and it was turbocharged. And when I drove that, I got an instant sense of excitement, whereas when I drove the Fiesta, I didn't. One thing I will say about the Fiesta is that it handled better and the steering had a better weight to it. But yeah, I chose to get the Ibiza. Do I regret that? No, because whilst I had the Ibiza, I did enjoy it. Obviously, towards the end, I kind of got a little bit sick and tired of it. But the first time I drove the Ibiza, I was kind of like, yeah, I want this. Whereas I didn't really get that for the Fiesta ST. So that's the first opportunity where I passed up my fast forward. The second opportunity was when I got rid of my Ibiza FR and I was on the hunt for something new. Now I ended up getting the Civic Type R that was bought for me as a surprise by my wife Patsy and a good friend of the channel and fellow YouTuber Pocket Rockets. Now at the time I was that close to pulling the trigger to buy a Mark 7 Fiesta ST. And the reason why I didn't, apologies, the lighting was a bit iffy. I do apologise. It's getting quite dark outside, so I do need to have the lights on. And the reason why I didn't buy the Mark 7 Fiesta ST, this may seem like a bit of a petty reason, but it's because they have become really common on the public road. Now, there's a good reason for that. They are fantastic value on the used car market, and I think pound for pound, I don't think you can get a used hot hatchback at a better amount of value. Not that offers that same kind of performance and driver enjoyment. So I can understand why so many people are going out to buy a used Mark 7 Fiesta ST, because, yeah, like I say, they are a bit of a performance bargain. But it got to a point where, although my heart was kind of set on one, I've wanted to own a Mark 7 Fiesta ST for ages, ever since it came out. I actually test drove one in the hope that I could get one on finance, but it just wouldn't work because I had recently got the Clio on finance, and yeah, that's another long story. But the more I looked at the Mark 7 Fiesta ST, the more I saw them on the road, and I thought, I don't want to sound a bit snobby, but I didn't really want anything that common. So I do kind of regret that. I do regret not buying a Mark 7 Fiesta ST then, but in all honesty, I would have had to sell it anyway, because for those of you that don't know, Patsy and I, we are expecting our first child. Therefore, we ideally need a 5-door. I think a 3-door would be a little bit tricky. Plus, the boot of the Fiesta isn't particularly big. So even if I had have bought the Fiesta ST, I probably would have sold it by now anyway to accommodate the little one. So yes, could have got a Mark 7 Fiesta ST, chose not to. Yeah, I do kind of regret that, but hey, it's one of those things. I still maintain that I did it for the right reasons, and yeah, maybe one day I'll own a Mark 7 Fiesta ST, who knows, but they are cracking cars, and yeah, I've driven one a few times, and yes, there's definitely a car that holds a kind of special place in my heart. And that brings us on to the third time, which of course would have been much more recently. Now, having sold the Civic Type R, my JDM Civic Type R, I needed a replacement. Oh, someone's doing a skid outside. I needed a replacement, but I wanted something 5-door. That's one of the few reasons for selling the Civic Type R, is that I wanted something 5-door. Now, I did actually look at the Mondeo ST220 just as a complete wild card. And you can pick them up for really good money. And even now, I look at them and think, oh, if I had the money. But yeah, the reason why I didn't go for that is fuel economy. Of course, it's a V6, so it's going to be far from frugal. And the fact they're quite old cars now. So they're going to have age-related problems. And I thought, no, I don't really want that. And to be honest with you, I don't think I'd suit a Mondeo ST220. I don't know. I would like to drive one, and perhaps one day I will. But I then started turning my attention to the Mark II Ford Focus ST, a car that once more I've wanted to own for quite some time. I've only ever driven one once, and that was a long time ago when I actually featured one on the channel that was a modified Focus ST, which belonged to a chap called Ollie, who's part of a car group called Surviving the Nightlife. That video is still up for you to watch if you want to go and watch it. Quite a good video, but in hindsight, I shouldn't have named the video hooning about in a Focus ST, because I didn't really hoon about. I was quite respectful with the car. But anyway, before I digress. And yeah, I was quite set on a Ford Focus ST, and I know they're not exactly that much more frugal compared to the Mondeo ST220 because they use the 5-cylinder engine, the Volvo engine, the 2.5 litre. But I just thought, oh, don't know, that's a bit of me, that Focus ST, 5-door, 5-cylinder engine, very nice indeed. But the problem with the Mark II Ford Focus ST is, well, trying to find a good one, particularly a 5-door. Now, when I was looking on Auto Trader throughout the whole of the UK for my budget, which I think was about £7,000 give or take, for the whole of the country, the amount of 5-doors on the market it fluctuated between 20 and 25. So not very much at all. Bearing in mind this is for the whole of the country, so some of them were miles away. I think 1 or 2 were even in Northern Ireland. So already I was limited for choice, and trying to find a tidy example from that choice was tricky. Now, there was a point where I thought, actually, maybe I could get a 3-door. And I thought, no, Aaron, what are you doing? One of the reasons why you sold the Civic was because you wanted a 5-door. So to replace the 3-door Civic with a 3-door Focus ST is just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And there's issues with the Ford Focus ST. Now, when you remap them, when you modify them, there's a few things you have to do. First of which is upgrading the clutch. Now, there are some Focus ST owners that have been able to remap the car and keep the standard clutch, but quite often it's a necessity, a requirement to upgrade to the Focus RS clutch, and that's quite expensive. The other thing worth doing, which is recommended, is to have a block mod. Now, in essence, thin metal shims are put between the cylinder liners because the 5-pot engine, as lovely as it is, when they're modified, it's not unheard of for them to crack their liners. And if that happens, the only way to rectify it is to replace the engine. I'm pretty sure you can't just repair or rebuild that engine. You have to actually replace it altogether. And that can happen on some standard cars, so that is something worth doing. Now, to have the block mod and the clutch done all in, this is at a rough price, so Focus ST owners, don't shoot me down here. It's about 1,500 quid, probably a little bit less than that to be honest, but you're talking at least over £1,000, and that's even before you've got to any kind of remap stage. There's also a few common issues with the Focus ST as well. I won't go through all of them right now, purely because I can't remember all of them, but there's problems with the oil diaphragms. There can be problems with the drive shafts. Yeah, they can be quite problematic, and I do know a few people that have owned a Focus ST, and for them it was kind of a nightmare experience. So actually, that's someone I follow on Instagram and speak to quite often, Freddie. He had a Focus ST for about a year and kind of got rid of it because he just had this nagging doubt in the back of his mind. Oh God, what else is about to go wrong? So he then sold it and actually got a Mark 7 Fiesta ST, and he's kind of much happier now. So I looked at a few examples, and I actually found one. It was in blue, which is what I wanted. It wasn't too far away. It was in I think it was Tunbridge Wells, so not too far from here. The dealership had really good reviews, and the pictures, it looked pretty much mint. At the time, the lockdown was a bit more stricter and stringent than it is now, so I didn't go and see it. I actually had a video call, and I'm glad I did, because when I got shown the car, it was actually quite a tatty example. Pretty much every panel had some kind of scratch or blemish on it. There was rust on the offside rear arch. Now again, the Mark II Focus ST is quite common for that. Where the bumper meets the rear wing, over time that they can rub together and it causes rust. And this car had that, which is funny because I said this to the dealership. To the dealer, he was showing me around, and he seemed a bit perplexed. He went, "Oh no, it won't rust because the bumper's plastic." I said, "No, trust me, they do rust there." And then when he went from the near side to the offside, he went, "Oh yeah, there's a bit of rust there." And I was thinking, "I told you, they're known for rusting there." Other things they are common for is the Recaro seats. The base of the seat can crack and break. So I got him to test that as well, and he must have thought that I was being really, really picky, and in honesty, I was. So, although the condition of the car wasn't that great, I was still kind of on board. But there were some alarm signals. So on the back axle, I think it had Continentals, good tyres, and on the front axle, it had some tyres I'd never heard of. And it's like, hang on, that's the driven axle. That's where the power is going, and you've got budget tyres on there. No. And the weird thing is, a lot of Focus STs I looked at, a lot of them were wearing budget tyres. And although it's not the most scientific measure, get your words out, Aaron, I always think that you can kind of tell how well a car has been looked after by the tyres it's wearing. Because if it's wearing premium tyres, it's a good indicator that the owner hasn't been tight with money or maintenance and has made sure that only the best components get put on the car. Now, I know not everyone can afford premium tyres, but at the same time, if a car's got budget tyres, there's probably a good chance that it's not really been well looked after, in my opinion. I always put premium tyres on my cars where possible. But yeah, a lot of the ones I looked at, they were cheap tyres. And the other alarm bell was the fact that there was no history of when the cam belt had been done. So that would have been an extra expense once I bought the car. And according to the service book, the last time it had seen a service was 4 years ago. Now, it may be the case that the owner has taken it to other garages and they've not had the service book stamped, or perhaps they've done the servicing themselves. I don't know, but for me, that was quite a big red flag. And in the end, it just got to a point where I just couldn't find a tidy Mark II Focus ST. Whereas conversely, I stumbled upon the Leon, and at points it looked kind of too good to be true, because it was 2 owners from new. It was in really good condition. Okay, it's got a few age-related marks, but you expect it for a 13-year-old car. It had full main dealer service history. The rear seats looked like they've never had anyone sat in them, and the interior condition as a whole was very high. So it got to a point where I had to buy the car with my head and my heart, as much as I really wanted a Mark II Focus ST. And even now, when I see one go past, I think, what could have been? But ultimately, I couldn't just wait for the right one to turn up. But annoyingly, after I put the deposit down on the Leon, a friend of mine, actually Ollie, the bloke with who used to own the modified Mark II, he sent me, bearing in mind that he knew that I'd put a deposit down on the Leon, he sent me a link for another blue Focus ST. It had been modified. It looked to be in really good condition. It looked like a really good example. And so the guy was selling it privately. I think he wanted about 5.5, I think he wanted for it. But he ended up selling it to a main dealer, because Ollie then sent me a message a few days later saying, oh, look, it's now at a main dealer. I think they were selling it for 6,500, I think. And I thought, damn. And at that point, there was a large part of me that thought, you know what? Maybe if I can find a reason to cancel the deposit on the Leon and then put a deposit down on this Focus ST. But I thought, I'm not going to do that, because the guy I bought the Leon from is a really nice guy. He was very helpful, and he went out of his way to answer all of my questions, of which I had many. I thought, you know what, that would be a real, how can I say it without swearing? That'd be a real, I'm going to have to say it, it's going to be a real dick move for me to turn around and go, you know what, no, I'm going to go elsewhere, thank you. So yeah, I didn't want to do business like that. So I thought, well, I've committed to the Leon. I could walk away, but I don't think that would be very fair, particularly as businesses are in tough times. So I didn't want to screw this guy over. So yeah, there we have it. How long have I been speaking for? Okay, not quite as long as I thought, so that's good. So 3 opportunities to own a fast Ford for various reasons. Sorry, my cup of tea is starting to go cold, so I'm going to have a quick swig. Oh, that's lukewarm. for various reasons, I've not owned a fast forward. Yeah, it is kind of gutting because I just love that genre, and I have done for quite some time. But who knows what could happen in the future? Who knows? I could end up with an Escort RS Cosworth. Okay, I'm starting to get a little bit ahead of myself, but maybe I might have a Mark III Focus RS or a Mark II Focus RS. And actually, in fact, before Patsy bought me the Civic, we were actually looking at Mark II Focus RSs, and Patsy said, "Look, if I can find one for the right kind of money, I promise you, I'll buy you one." Which, as you can imagine, I was very excited at this point. But sadly, for type of money that Patsy had to play about with, we couldn't really find a tidy one in budget. I could have bought one for the money Patsy had, but it would have been quite ropey, would have been high mileage. It wouldn't have been the right one. I'd rather have the right car as opposed to just a car I want, if that makes any kind of sense. It makes sense in my head, but when I just said it out then, it didn't seem to make any kind of sense. But yeah, I could have owned a Focus RS, but it probably would have been quite a tired, tatty one that had been abused. It would need work, and yeah, I think a car like that, you need to make sure that you do search hard to find the one. But yeah, shame. I could have owned a Focus RS, but hey, that's how life pans out. Right, I think it is time to go through your YouTube comments, so I will move this camera over here. There we go, hopefully that was seamless. So let's fire up the laptop. So the first comment is from a recent subscriber. Thank you very much for your support. And speaking of support, don't forget guys, you can check out my merch by heading to controlandshift.com. They are having a few delays there, and so if you have ordered a t-shirt and it hasn't turned up yet, fear not, it will arrive, so be patient. So this YouTube user by the name of 2011 Linton, they have commented on my review of the Audi RS Q3, and they've put, impressed with the quality of content and delivery, in-depth review too. It was like you was taking us all on a journey in the beast from the east. How long did you have the car for? Keep up the good work. So thank you very much for that. Next up is a comment from Carl Green. He has commented on the video where I fitted the lowering springs to Leo, my Leon Cupra. He's put, great video, nice and informative, but not trying to teach people to suck eggs. Looks like a nice subtle drop too. Thank you very much, Carl. In all honesty, whenever I film car maintenance or modifying reviews, I try not to do them as a how-to guide or tutorial, because I'm not a trained mechanic, and there's a good chance that I myself am making mistakes or perhaps doing things which aren't best practice. So I try not to force knowledge upon people, because it may be wrong. But I do work in a car repair garage now, so I am building my mechanical knowledge slowly but surely. Next up is a comment from a YouTube viewer by the name of Ian. It's quite nice and simple. By the looks of it, he's been a subscriber for a long time, so thank you very much for your continued support. He has commented on my video of the point of view drive in the Caterham Super 7 1600, and he has put, nice footage of the interior with all those classic details. What a car! Yes, what a car indeed. I was quite sad to give it back, but to be fair, I'm always sad to give any Caterham back, so they are a blast. If I had unlimited money, then I would definitely have a Caterham or 3 in my garage. Now, I'm going to give Carl Green another shout out. He commented on my last Pit Stop Sunday video. Was it my last one? Was it the one before that? Anyway, he commented on the one when I was talking about how I prepare for filming. And he's put, the best thing before sliced bread was the bread knife. And I thought that was a very witty answer, because within that video, I said, oh, it's the best thing since sliced bread. And then I said, I wonder what the best thing was before sliced bread. And he's obviously put bread knife. So it's a very quick-witted answer. I like that, Carl. So I thought I'd give you another shout out. And that leaves time for one more comment. Who will be the lucky so-and-so to be given a shout out? Right, last comment. I'm going to give a shout out to a virtually brand new subscriber by the name of Robert Hughes. He has commented on my video where I was talking about driving gloves. Quite an old video, but even now it still gets a fair amount of attention. So that is, of course, a good thing. He has put, first video that showed up for me searching. Fantastic. I've got that SEO nailed down. That's search engine optimization for those nerds out there. I like the honesty. I figured I should get gloves for the reason you stated, prevent wear from the start, wear on the steering wheel. I just bought my first aftermarket steering wheel. It is Alcantara sprayed, and I want it to last as long as possible. Nice video, subbed, and we'll be watching more. So Robert, thank you so much. I do really hope you're watching this video so you can see this shout out. And that brings me to the end of this installment. As always, guys, if you can think of any topics or anything you'd like me to discuss in these videos, please do let me know and I will try and make it happen. As I said earlier, I think moving forward, it's probably better for me if I do these every 2 weeks or perhaps once a month. I think it's going to be easier to fit into my hectic schedule. But apart from that, time for me to finish. I do hope you have enjoyed this video. If so, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time, guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.